This was my very first time going to the Midwest Gaming Classic, which is a huge retro gaming focused convention that takes place every year in downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I ended up going to Milwaukee for the weekend, did some stuff around the city on Saturday, and then woke up early Sunday morning on April 2nd to go to the convention. The doors opened at 10, so I wanted to get there early enough and have enough time to explore everything. I've been wanting to go to this show forever, and it just never happened. It was also shut down, I think, for a bit because of the pandemic, but now it's back open. I was really looking forward to checking out the show, playing some of the old games, checking out the gaming history, and especially checking out some of the vendors. So they had a lot of special guests at the convention, and one of them was the voice behind NBA Jam, the Boom Shakalaka guy, which was pretty cool. One of the main features of the Midwest Gaming Classic is this huge game center area that they have on the convention floor. So when you walk in, you just see this massive room with rows and rows of tables set up. And there's just so many games you can play. So they have consoles basically from the start of video games all the way up to current stuff, and also special booths and games set up. They had even have like people playing LAN games, Team Fortress, all sorts of stuff. Here's a bunch of pinball machines they had on the floor, some 007 stuff, some really cool machines. And there were just so many people there. Here's a big Scooby-Doo van they had set up as well on the show floor. They had a lot of new pinball machines that have just come out or are about to come out, like this Godfather 50th Anniversary Edition. And this is a shot of all the games and consoles set up that people are playing. It was so cool to see just the history of games. So when I was recording this game footage on these old school TVs, it did not have the scanlines in person, so that's just kind of something with my recording. But there was just so many retro games, people playing them, co-op stuff. Basically any console you wanted to check out, it was there for you to play. It was super cool. And this is the PC FX console, which came out in the early 90s. This was another console that I'd never heard of before or even seen in person. So it was really cool to play a shmup game on it, and just really awesome to experience at the show. This is me playing one of the shmup games on the PC FX. In person on the TV, it looked really great, and it was a lot of fun to play. So they had a whole row of just old computer systems from the 80s set up that people could play games on, and it was so cool to see these because I've never really experienced or played any of these games before. And this is like really awesome gaming history that's kind of forgotten about. But yeah, they had like everything set up, all these games, and it was just so cool to see the type of gameplay and how people were playing on computers back in the 80s. And some of these games might look primitive or something, but it's still kind of cool that you can go to a convention like this and see them in person, because I just can't imagine it's easy to find any of this stuff and hook it up and play it. So that's really awesome that people have the opportunity to kind of check out this gaming history and all these different computer systems and stuff. And a lot of these I'd never heard of before, so it's like, oh, awesome, man, just seeing these in person and having them all set up, and that was great. They had a little tribute area set up for Ralph Baer, which was pretty cool. He's known as the father of the video game console. And here's some stuff from the Magnavox Odyssey. Really cool vintage material there that you don't often get to see. Here's some advertisements there. Can you imagine buying a home console for like $50 nowadays? That'd be really awesome. I just love seeing this old school material here from the 70s. And they had this stuff all over the show floor. It was just really cool gaming history. These are just some more computers from the 80s they had set up that people were playing on. Here's one of the areas where they had some of the newer pinball games that were playable on the show floor. There was a lot of people playing the pinball stuff. You had to wait in line to you can get a shot at them. So they were really popular. They had a lot of cool new machines that are very modern, got like video screens on them and really cool stuff. It was great to see all the artwork on them too. Stern Pinball had a special area set up with some of their games. A lot of it was the Foo Fighters game on pinball. They had their own section set up here, just an overview of all the other different games they had on. This is part of the show floor with the retro pinball machines, like really old school stuff from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s. They just had a few rows of these and they were just jam-packed with people playing them. I love the art on the old pinball machines. It's so cool to play and experience, and they were really popular too. Like they were jam-packed with people waiting to play them. But you can see all the variety of the different pinball machines they had. I love the art design in this Galaxy pinball machine. It just has that vintage look to it. It's just really cool. It's a really awesome machine. On the show floor, they also had an area for vehicles and stuff. You can see the Jurassic Park cars. They had Knight Rider, Kit. It was pretty sweet. It's kind of awesome to see in person. And this old Batmobile from the old show was really cool. It was really in great condition. Just looked so awesome. A bunch of people were posing with it and stuff, so that was really cool to see. As well as the Ghostbusters vehicle there, and then the Back to the Future car too. And here's one of the entrances to the vendor hall. So when you walk in, it's just this huge room. I mean, they had so many vendors, so many tables set up, so many people walking around and shopping and things like that. There's a ton of stuff you could buy, from games to collectibles to artwork to toys, just everything in between. They even had a wrestling match going on, an independent wrestling match. Kind of appropriate because it was WrestleMania weekend, but you know, who knows? Maybe we'll see these two guys in the big leagues one day. This guy got the crap kicked out of him. But that was pretty cool. They had a lot of stuff like that, you know, like wrestling show. They had some musical acts, things like that. This guy's just getting beat. And one of the vendors had a lot of Japanese stuff for sale, so you saw a big box of games for $10, and then some, I guess, you know, stuff from the early Nintendo days, which was cool. So a lot of Japanese imports around. And then you had this booth. I don't know if these were sealed games or what the deal was, but you see Itchy and Scratchy for $1,200. I mean, some of these prices were just really, really crazy. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars here, so that was really unexpected there. And here's just some of the art, you know, plush toys you could buy, and just different things outside of gaming. And here's some more Japanese stuff, you know, Japanese import. These were really cool to see because they were in great condition. I guess if you're a collector of that stuff, or you even play them on a console or something, that'd be cool to buy, but I just like looking at the artwork on the boxes and things like that. So this booth had a ton of stuff like that. And these were just 3D printings of cartridges that you can, you know, put on your desk or something like that. And here's another vendor with some games. Again, some of these prices were really just maybe like shocking to me. I don't know. It was really expensive, but there were a lot of cool games. But, you know, you're seeing some of the stuff here going high prices like that. It's really crazy. And here's one of the creators of Rampage, the game, which was cool. He was at the convention. And these are some overlays that you would put on your TV way back in the day. So that was really cool to see. You know, I wonder who the audience is this for, but that's you know, it's still cool that it's there. And again, here's one of the artists on Qbert, Jeff Lee. He had a booth set up there. That was awesome. Another legend there. In Milwaukee, Jersey Mike Subs was one of the official food vendors for the show. So I got one of those sandwiches. You know, Sonic and Mario just chilling. That was cool. And here's some more games on display. I mean, just look at these prices, man. It's just so crazy. $500 for Ogre Battle. You know, Mega Man on the Game Boy, $800. I mean, Earthbound 2200. That's like a mortgage payment right there. I mean, are you paying your rent or you're gonna buy Earthbound? I don't know. But here's some Pokemon games. I mean, this is crazy. Like, just prices on some of these games was outrageous. And here's some Atari stuff, like new games, I guess, coming out, or reprints and stuff like that. This booth had a lot set up and games on display. I think some of these are brand new developed games for the Atari, Jaguar and the Lynx, which was really cool. Great artwork and stuff there, and yeah, some really cool stuff. New games too, right there. Towers 2. This is a Star Wars Episode 1 special N64 console bundle. And here's the Nintendo Virtual Boy. They actually had a lot of people checking this out, a lot of kids with their parents, and they're probably going to need glasses afterwards, but it was really cool to see. Here's somebody playing, I think, Castlevania. And then again, the Virtual Boy just kind of set up here with the red graphics. Man, I used to play this back in the day. It just always gave you a headache. This was a Konami game for the PlayStation 1 that had its own controller. There was a lot of people playing multiplayer games too, like here's Smash Brothers, one of the new releases. There's all over the show floor where people are competing. This was an older guy playing the Atari. I think it's Superman on it. I mean, check out those amazing graphics. But yeah, a lot of older people at the convention, a lot of kids, a lot of families, just everybody in between, playing all sorts of games from basically every generation. Here's old wrestling game. Some kid was laying the smackdown on his dad, so that was kind of fun. And this is a new pinball game, Godfather 50th Anniversary. I love the Godfather movie. It's one of my favorites. This pinball machine was incredible. They're just like so advanced nowadays. It's crazy to see. And this was like a weird arcade game, like a Mortal Kombat ripoff there. And yeah, that was kind of funny cabinet. And I just love these old pinball machines. They're so cool. Like the art on them is great. These were in like amazing condition too. It was like really cool to play them and see them in person. Again, I just love these old school like pinball games. Like this one is super cool. Superstar. Love that like hippie art. This is a Foo Fighters pinball game that's pretty new. They had a bunch of these set up on the floor, and the game was really cool. Had some great art, cabinet art on it as well, and had a lot of cool effects, and it was really fun to play. Kind of cool to check out, and especially as one of their newer releases for the pinball stuff. This was outside the convention center after 5 o'clock when people were leaving. It's right in the heart of downtown Milwaukee. It was a great building. So as far as my game pickups went, my game haul from Midwest Gaming Classic this year, I basically just got a bunch of random games. When I went to the convention, I really didn't have a game plan of specific titles I was looking for. I just kind of knew that I wanted to get some old stuff, mainly on the Super Nintendo, but was really just anything that came across, maybe on the Xbox or PS1, I was willing to pick up. But the things with these conventions, there's just so many games, you kind of need like some sort of plan of things you're looking for. And I really realized that the game collecting market has just gone crazy the past couple of years, especially after the pandemic, with just prices just absolutely skyrocketing. So there was like tons of games for like $200, $300, $400, $500, even like loose cartridge stuff that I thought would be cheaper was still pretty high price. You kind of gotta go to these things knowing you're going to spend a lot of money, which was just crazy seeing the prices for these games. But the first game I picked up was 007 Tomorrow Never Dies for the PlayStation 1. I got this for around $7, and I used to have it back in the day. Really loved it. I think with the nostalgia of the James Bond game on the Nintendo 64, I was looking to find some other games as well like that. So I was happy to add this to the collection. The case and game disc were in awesome collection and awesome condition. It was really worth it. So the next game I bought was Arrow the Acrobat on the Super Nintendo. I ended up getting this at the same vendor for like $13. The main reason I got it was just because of like it's on the Super Nintendo and it's kind of one of those platformer mascot games. And also it's made by Sunsoft. So I haven't really played this one before. I remember it back in the day, but I figured it's cheap enough, probably get some game time out of it, so that's why I picked it up. The next game I picked up was Star Wars Dark Forces for the PS1. This was a greatest hits copy. I got this at a different vendor. There was no price on it, so I had to ask the guy what he was going to sell it for, and he ended up looking on his phone, I'm presuming on eBay or something, and said it was for $10. So I thought that was a pretty good deal, just based on the condition of it and everything. The disc was like flawless. The case had like no blemishes or issues with it. I've never played this before, so it was kind of cool to get a copy of it. And I'll probably check this out. Probably have to hook up my PS3 or something to play it. But as you can see here, just the condition of it is like really, really good. I haven't seen this game out in the wild in a long time, but it's a cool, fun game. So my next pickup was kind of a weird one, which is an official Super Nintendo power adapter. I recently bought a Super Nintendo, but it didn't come with an adapter, so I haven't been able to play it for a while. I got a deal on it with a bunch of other games, so it was worth it. But in the meantime, I had tried getting one on eBay, and the prongs were all bent, so it didn't work. So there was this one vendor there that had a bunch of accessories on for sale, and I asked them if they had a Super Nintendo one, and they said, yeah, we'll sell it to you from a console we have, and then I got it for $20, and that was that. My next game pickup was Judge Dredd for the Super Nintendo. I got this one for $10. It was a loose cartridge. It's kind of random. I've been wanting this game for a while, actually. I've seen it on the Sega Genesis at different stores and stuff, and just really randomly wanted a copy of it. So when I came across it, I decided to pick it up. It was in a box with other loose cartridges at a different vendor. I figured for $10, it's not a bad deal. I kind of like those old school license games and stuff like that, so it was worth a pickup. So the next game I picked up was Castlevania Lords of Shadow for the Xbox 360. This was at a different vendor on the show floor. I ended up getting this game for $9. It was just another random pickup that I had seen looking through this vendor's Xbox 360 games. Really for like collecting and stuff. Like this is the generation to kind of start doing that with. And here's Lair, which I got for $5 on the PS3, which was another good deal. So both these two games, pretty random, but kind of cool to add to my collection. Another game I picked up was Super Star Wars for the Super Nintendo. This was a loose cartridge copy. It had a price of it for like $15, and it was kind of nearing the end of the show, and I just kind of wanted to grab some more Super Nintendo games. But I did ask the vendor if he would cut a deal with another game I wanted to buy from him, and I ended up getting this a few dollars off. So it's a really good looking cartridge. And the other game that I got was Voodoo Vince for the original Xbox for the sticker price of $15. I ended up getting both games for $25, so that was a pretty good deal. And I wanted to add this game to my collection for a while, so it was cool to finally pick it up. Looks like a cool game for the original Xbox. So at this point of the show, there was a few minutes left before everything closed. So I was kind of racing around vendors to pick up one last game. I ended up getting Homefront: The Revolution. The sticker price was $8, but I asked the vendor and they were willing to sell it for $5. So kind of random, but I just wanted to pick something up before the show was over. This game is a reboot of Homefront from the PS3 and 360 era. The case was a little beat up, but for $5, it wasn't a bad deal. And this is just an overview of all the games I bought at Midwest Gaming Classic this year. I ended up spending about $104 total for everything. So I got some good stuff here. Again, nothing major or collectible, but some cool games. So that's going to wrap up my video on my time at the Midwest Gaming Classic 2023. And thanks for watching.